He's not Robert Redford, but we meet a Mongolian man who's a genuine horse whisperer. And a pony who loves a drink but has trouble holding it. Here's an inquisitive little fellow who'd like to say hello to you. Hello. His Yubo Lick was starving and barely alive when locals found him 5 months ago. He's recovered since and now spends most of his time playing with Zdravi Gore.
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
We want to talk about women, business and COVID-19.
I'm the CEO and founder of Kienyeji's Foods.
We provide comfortable traveling solution to the society.
How are you coping?
Most interesting thing is that when COVID came, I got more attention.
Wow.
Increased my production, so I started supplying eggs around and people would come to the gate.
Most of the time what I'm doing is just to become a little bit more creative, introduce some interesting stuff that would appeal to people.
A backup plan is important. Then also be flexible.
Lots of business ideas, it's just that we don't think out of the box.
Gaki, wawezaje unituangia simu saa hii Gaki? Saa zile tu nimewekelea matoke yangu kwa meza. Niko tayari kukula, wewe ukikula kwako mimi ukusumbua. Gaki, hii simu sisiki yake ya nani? Mimi ukusumbua ukikula kwako. Basi wewe ngoja nimalize matoke yangu tena utanituangia.
Kupata matoke, bonyeza *811 *965#. Bonyeza *811 *965#.
A very good afternoon to you. It's always a pleasure to have you join us right here on KBC Lunchtime News. It's just 2 days into the 8th month, the year 2020. A lot has been happening in Kenya this weekend. On Sunday today, the conversation about the revenue allocation formula continues, with nurses now wanting senators to speed up the process of reaching a consensus when it comes to that particular controversial formula. We will be giving you details about what the Secretary General of the Kenya National Union of Nurses had to say today concerning how this has affected the welfare of nurses from across the 47 counties. We got details about that particular story and much more in our comprehensive news bulletin. Welcome on board. Indeed, you can be part of this particular broadcast. Do share with us your thoughts on social media at Serfine_Achieng, at KBC Channel 1, both on our mother's official Twitter handle, and of course you can interact with me directly at Serfine Achieng on Facebook. We want to begin straight away with what is happening when it comes to the containment measures on COVID-19 from across the counties, and a number of economic activities that had previously been put on hold by restrictions imposed by the government to curb the spread of the coronavirus are gradually picking up. In Kitui County, for instance, the county administration has lifted the ban on sand harvesting operations spearheaded by one community-based organization. This is in a bid to cushion the locals whose livelihoods depend on it from the devastating impact of the pandemic. The organization has, however, been asked to strictly adhere to the COVID-19 containment protocols.
Residents of Kitui living along the Tiva River in Kitui Rural Constituency have lauded Area Governor Charity Ngilu for partially lifting the ban on sand harvesting. The cheerful locals noted that the venture has been a great financial remedy for them, especially given the economic crisis brought by COVID-19 pandemic. Governor Ngilu had banned sand harvesting in the county as one of the measures to curb the spread of COVID-19.
Niko na wamama 200 wale ni mawanjili kwa collection, kuchukua pesa kuchukua kwa hiyo magari na walipa. kuna wazee wale wakongwe, tunawasaidia na kuwanunulia vyakula. Kwa hivyo hii mchanga ya Tifa, kwa hiyo muda ilifunguliwa na Charity Gilo, tunaona ametusaidia sana.
In the meantime, Samburu County government insists that the county is yet to register a single COVID-19 case. Speaking on a tour of Samburu County Referral Hospital in Maralal town, Governor Moses Lenol Kulal called for calm among residents as a single case that was reported by the Ministry of Health did not originate from the county. The county chief urged the COVID-19 National Command Center to handle samples effectively so as not to raise what he termed as unwarranted anxiety. He expressed confidence in the region's preparedness to handle COVID-19 cases in the event they are confirmed.
We were pushing to have a testing center here in Samburu. I think at some stage we may need testing centers to be fully based at the counties, because the amount of time it takes for us to deliver samples to Nairobi is a bit of a lag time until we get results.
Elsewhere, a section of rural churches in Migori County have acknowledged numerous challenges in their efforts to comply with all regulations instituted by the government to curb the spread of COVID-19. Migori Interdenominational Organization Chairperson Bishop John Okinda disclosed that a number of religious organizations have not yet been able to raise money to purchase thermoguns, citing prohibitive costs.
The 4,500 houses of worship that we are covering here today. This is a large number, 4,500, and half of them may not be able to acquire and buy the thermoguns. And we are praying that if you are out there, you want to stand with them, the chances are here so that we protect our people by checking their temperature.
Beatrice Getonyingetich, Channel 1 News.
Thank you, Beatrice, for that report. Now, let's just move away from the COVID-19 containment measures for a bit and talk about the revenue allocation formula debate. Now, pressure is mounting on the Senate to quickly resolve the stalemate arising from the recently proposed revenue sharing formula. Kenya National Union of Nurses wants the senators to reach a consensus in a bid to unlock what it termed as budget hitches in counties that have seen nurses endure untold hardships brought about by unpaid salaries. Addressing the press at the union's offices Sunday morning, Kenya National Union of Nurses Secretary General Seth Panyako warned that if his members' dues are not paid by next week, the union will be forced to mobilize all nurses to paralyze activities in responsible state institutions.
We can no longer sit down and watch a government that does not have any respect for her public servants. You cannot have a government that hold hostage our own citizens. For 3 good months, some public servants in the county governments have not earned salary. A majority of them have not earned. In fact, only about 10 counties paid salary for June. In the month of July, 0 counties have paid. We are already headed to the mid of August 2020, and we are not seeing any future. We want to let the Senate of this country that you are not elected to go to Parliament, to the Senate, to speak so much big English and the vocabulary is there. You are not elected to go to the Senate to show how much you are committed to being a nationalist or being accountless. You are elected to ensure that you protect the tenets of the county governments and to ensure that public servants live in honor in the county governments. Public servants in county governments have been reduced to beggars. Why shouldn't the nurses be paid peanuts in terms of risk allowance of 3,850, while those who are less vulnerable, scoring 6% and below, are getting up to 20,000? We want to tell the government, the county governments, the national government, that 20,000 shillings must be factored in the budget that is being discussed at the Senate.
Still on that revenue allocation debate, Turkana County Governor Josephat Nanok wants the county shareable revenue to be shared on the basis of the county's potential rather than population. Speaking in his county when he hosted his West Pokot counterpart Professor John Lonyangapuo, Nanok said that there was need to ensure equity in revenue allocation, adding that all counties in the country should have a special consideration in the allocation of funds and resources. Have a look.
As the nation awaits the Senate to resolve the third basis for sharing revenue amongst counties, Turkana Governor has faulted the current proposal where his county is set to lose funds. In the proposed formula by the Commission for Revenue Allocation, Turkana County will lose at least 324 million shillings, while West Pokot would get an additional 431 million shillings.
Zingine zimeongezewa pesa, zingine kama yangu ya Turkana pesa imepunguzwa kwa njia kubwa. Lakini saa hii tuna hiyo utetezi kwa maana nchi ya Kenya na rasilimali ya Kenya ni ya Wakenya wote 47 na ni ya ardhi ya Kenya yote. Iwe ni wapi, kuna jukumu ya rasilimali ya Kenya na serikali ya Kenya kuhakikisha wamepeleka uwezo katika kona zote ya ardhi yetu.
Speaking in his county in an event graced by West Pokot Governor Professor John Lonyangapuo, Governor Nanok said the potential of devolved units ought to be considered in allocation of funds. West Pokot Governor chose to avoid the debate, instead delving in the Building Bridges initiative, saying the governor's term limit should be scrapped.
BBI sasa ifunje hii term limit. Nanok aendelea ama asiendelee? Ni mangalana. Aendelea ama asiendelee? Na mimi ni permanent, sitoki hapa.
The Commission on Revenue Allocations formula seeks to move the resources to critical services such as health and agriculture in an arrangement that will see populous counties receive higher share than marginalized areas.
The National Integration and Cohesion Commission is cautioning the political class against ethnicizing the revenue sharing formula debate. Commissioner Wambui Nyutu says it is critical that the current peace and tranquility enjoyed across the country is maintained ahead of the 2022 elections.
Speaking at Higaini Primary School in Maragua constituency while inspecting renovation of classrooms, NCAC Commissioner Wambui Nyutu noted that some political leaders have been making utterances that may incite Kenyans against each other as they fight over the third basis revenue sharing formula.
Revenue allocation thing is being turned into a tribal war. And NCIC, we would wish to say that this is not a tribal war. It is not. It is just something to help the people get allocated their resources equitably as the Constitution had envisioned and as it has enshrined.
Wambui is saying that every Kenyan has a right to national resources and no one should feel more entitled.
So let Kenyans not try to turn against each other and say these are people who think they are majority and they want to gain. No. So it is a Kenyan debate. It is not a debate about the other people against the people of Central.
Wambui, however, voiced her support for the formula as proposed by the Commission on Revenue Allocation, saying the formula is an improvement on the second basis formula, which had 4 disembarkment parameters.
It is just a debate of people sharing revenue and resources equitably, fairly, as we would wish to see every Kenyan, because every Kenyan has a right to access government services and to access any other service that they would wish to have even from the counties. So it is something that I would wish Kenyans have a united voice about, and the formula that is currently before the Senate is a fair formula, in my opinion.
The Senate postponed the adoption of the formula for the 6th time last Tuesday after members failed to agree on its contents and is set to resume debate next Tuesday. For Channel 1 News, I am Emily K. Bade.
All right, senators are expected to have a sitting to discuss that new revenue allocation formula. Will they unlock the deadlock? the answer to that question, we have to wait for it until next week, Tuesday, when that sitting will happen. We will be updating you more on this particular issue. Now, this Sunday, Christians have been challenged to observe COVID-19 containment measures in the face of increased cases across the country. At the Holy Family Basilica in Nairobi, Kenyans were urged to stand united in the face of challenges posed by the pandemic, calls that were replicated at the All Saints Cathedral.
Ndiye muumba na mfalme wetu. Tunaomba hayo kwa njia ya Bwana wetu Yesu Kristo.
A limited number of Christians will attend Sunday service and Mass on the first Sunday of August following the resumption of services under strict guidelines in what has become known as the new normal. So was the case at the Holy Family Basilica and All Saints Cathedral, whose services were broadcasted live on the public broadcasters Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, with both services adhering to directives issued by the government, some of which include having a maximum of 100 congregants per service, which shall not exceed more than 1 hour. At the Holy Family Basilica, where messages of hope and unity in the face of COVID-19 pandemic characterized proceedings.
Hata hii COVID-19 isitutenganishe. COVID-19 imetutenganisha mapadri na wakristu, imetutenganisha shule na walimu, imetenganisha wanasiasa na watu wale ambao wanawafuata, imetenganisha watu wengi zaidi, imetenganisha hata wasichana wale ambao wanapaka urembo lipstick, imetenganisha lipstick na lips. Hata ukipaka nani atakuona shauri yako. Na imetutenganisha sisi sote, lakini imeshindwa kututenganisha na Mwenyezi Mungu.
It was the same script, different cast at the All Saints Cathedral, with Christians challenged to reach out and support the vulnerable in the society, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic.
The effectiveness of a believer is not felt in the church or in the fellowship. It is felt outside. And so you as a believer, if each one of us would practice evangelism wherever we are, Christianity will be better and stronger. And this time I have branded you the Macedonians. The Macedonians, and you can read about them in 2 Corinthians chapter 8, were people who were needy, but they became very, very generous at that time. So giving is not out of abundance, it is out of the love we have for God.
Reporting for Channel 1 News, I'm Serfine Roby.
That report by Serfine Roby takes us to our very first break right here on KBC Lunchtime News. Please don't go too far. We still have much more coming your way.
This weekend on KBC Channel 1.
We want to talk about women, business, and COVID-19.
I'm the CEO and founder of Kienyeji's Foods.
We provide comfortable traveling solution to the society.
How are you coping?
Most interesting thing is that when COVID came, I got more attention.
Wow.
Increased my production, so I started supplying eggs around and people would come to the gate.
Most of the time what I'm doing is just to become a little bit more creative, introduce some interesting stuff that would appeal to people.
A backup plan is important. Then also be flexible.
Lots of business ideas, it's just that we don't think out of the box.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
You will behave even if you don't like it. And that applies to you, to Fabiola, and to my daughter.
Do you think that we should tell everyone that we are together now, Ramon?
Nobody who loves our daughters as much as she does. Let's put Juana down as the beneficiary.
That's Ricardo and Kathy.
In love with Ramon.
Welcome back as we continue to explore some of the news that we have lined up for you. Now, over 300 teachers in Gatanga constituency, Murang'a County, can now breathe a sigh of relief after they received donations of food and other essential items. The donation by a non-governmental organization targeted Board of Management and Early Childhood Development teachers who have suffered the brunt of the COVID-19 economic paralysis, with most of them having lost their jobs. That the COVID-19 global pandemic has led to an economic paralysis is no secret. A pandemic that has led to a shutdown of businesses and massive job losses. Private school teachers and those employed in public schools under the Board of Management becoming among those who are worst hit. A non-governmental organization dubbed Kimani Mumbi Foundation donating food items to over 300 Board of Management and Early Childhood Development school teachers across Gatanga constituency in Murang'a County as part of efforts to ease the adverse effects of the pandemic. The foundation's founder, Anthony Kimani Mumbi, saying that a majority of teachers who are not on the Teachers Service Commission payroll have been finding it hard to make ends meet during the current pandemic.
BOM teachers are in excess of 120,000 in the Republic. When 120,000 teachers are not getting any money, and they used to receive some money, you can see cumulatively what that means. You can understand. You can see that in the long run, this is going to have a very big effect on our society. Therefore, we must think about our teachers.
The donation targeted teachers in Kirwara, Gatura, Kihumbuini and Idhanga zones, with calls being made to the Teacher Service Commission to consider absorbing Board of Management teachers who have served for many years without being employed by the government.
Some of them, we have learned, have been teaching in that capacity as BOM teachers for 15 years. And yet we know TSC employs teachers, yet they have not been employed as yet. Maybe those are things that, it's a discussion that going forward, people must start thinking and asking questions.
And at the mercy of parents, because if parents decided not to pay them, they would be out of job. So we would like the government, the TSC, to employ these teachers. Some are ECD trained. The county government should absorb them to teach in ECDs.
A time like this tunaona walimu wale ambao wameajiriwa na TSC wanapata mshahara kama kawaida, lakini sisi twashukuru kwa kuwa county tu imetukumbuka na tunalipa, lakini tungefurahia kama TSC wangetukumbuka na watuajiri kama walimu.
The concern coming at a time when the government has been urged to consider including private schools in the economic stimulus program to help cushion them against collapse due to the lack of funds during the COVID-19 season. And Murang'a Governor Mwangi wa Iria's affiliated Civil Renewal Party of Kenya wants political parties to begin investing in climate change mitigation measures instead of solely focusing on elections and power. The party is currently on a mission to help plant trees across the country with a view of helping in conservation efforts. Nancy Okware gives us more details. The Civil Renewal Party of Kenya, affiliated to Murang'a Governor Mwangi wa Iria, was in Kilifi County, where its members planted 1,500 mangrove trees in its ongoing efforts to conserve the environment. The party, which has so far undertaken a similar exercise in 4 counties, calling on other parties to follow suit, and this is from early politicking at a time when the environment is suffering the consequences of neglect.
We want political parties to be actively involved in human development activities. And there are so many. Each political party has more than 100 functions. One function is on the democratic process. There are so many other 98 that they have left, but they don't touch. That's why you find this country getting into trouble, even economically, because political parties are not addressing these issues, and they are the institutions of governance. The party challenging the current generation to take climate change seriously, as their actions now will determine the future.
Tunataka vijana, tunataka wazee na wamama na viongozi zaidi wachangie katika mambo ya mazingira. Tunajua ikiwa tutakuwa na mazingira chafu, hatuwezi kuwa na maisha mazuri. Kwa hivyo tukichangia zaidi katika mazingira, tutaboresha elimu, tutaboresha maisha.
we're in our 30s. We're in 30s. That means in the next 70 years or 80 years, devastation effect will be serious.
The group warning that the coastal region had been affected by climate change and that if no action is taken, then tourism will suffer greatly alongside those who depend on fishing activities for a livelihood. The Civil Renewal Party now intends to head to the Mau Forest, Aberdares, Mount Elgon catchment area, Lake Turkana and Lake Paradise in Marsabit to undertake similar activities. Nancy Okware, Channel 1 News.
From Murang'a to now Kiambu County, focusing on what is happening there. A section of bar owners operating in Kiambu are accusing area chiefs and their assistants of taking advantage of the current COVID-19 containment measures to harass and intimidate them. The bar owners say the administrators have been breaking into their premises even when they have not contravened the set guidelines.
Owners in Kiambu County are distraught following what they term as harassment by area chiefs, who they say have been breaking into their premises at night and taking their stock. One such premise is Food Zetu, which is said to have been descended upon by about 10 chiefs who made away with the stock.
Jana around 6:37 towards 7 ndo nilipigiwa nikaambiwa machifu wamekuja hapa na wakakuta hakuna mtu anauziwa pombe. Wakaitisha funguo ya store, ikakuwa funguo ikuwa hapa. Wakaambiwa wangojee, hawakungojea, wakaproceed, wakabreak store.
Boniface Kioko, the proprietor of Food Zetu, condemning the manner in which the operations are conducted, saying the latest incident was the fourth time a similar act had been committed.
Wamekuwa wakikuja, wanakosa kitu, wanatuharasi, alafu wanaenda tu. Mimi mwenyewe wamenishika mara kama 3 na hakuna kitu washainipeleka kwa koti ama nini. Ni harassment tu. Ningetaka kuomba kama ni sheria inafuatwa, wafuate venye iko. Kama kuna breaking order, kuja na breaking order, tuoneshe breaking order, break.
Ama chief, hiyo nguvu yenye wanatumia ya kupiga watu watijua wametupata hapa kwa klabu. Waache kutupiga juu ya kitu. Kuna wafai kuchukua sheria kwa mikono yao. Hiyo si haki. Afadhali kwanza wangojee mwenyewe yakuje, afungue wakiwa. Ili hata kitu yote kipotea, wanaweza kuwa responsible.
Kiambu County Bar Owners Association Chair Richard Kagiri says since the president issued an order for the closure of bars and restaurants, over 50 establishments had been broken into.
Order ilipotoka ya kufuga bar kutoka kwa rais na kamati ambayo inasimamia COVID-19, ilisema bar zifungwe, lakini haikusema stock yenu mtapeleka wapi. Kwa hivyo watu kurudisha stock yao kwa store, hata kuiacha kwa counter, hakuna kosa lolote. Muradi tu mtu hauzi hiyo pombe.
Nancy Okware, Channel 1 News.
And now to Kilifi County, the national government has renewed the issuance of land titles to residents of Kilifi County as part of ongoing efforts to end the perennial squatter problem in the region. Caroline Kamau informs us that the Chief Administrative Secretary in the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning, Gideon Mungaro, says the government is in the process of acquiring 4 parcels of land to resettle the landless.
The issuance of land titles in Kilifi County is part of the national government's initiative of processing and distributing more than 70,000 title deeds by the end of this year. Lands Chief Administrative Secretary Gideon Mungaro says the government is in the process of buying 4 parcels of land to settle the landless, with 1 parcel already acquired in Mtwapa area at a cost of 377 million shillings.
But out of the 4 parcels the government is buying this financial year, 3 are Kilifi, and that's because of your effort, Governor, when you talked of Mazurui. Now we have fully paid Mikanjuni in Mutwapa, worth 377 million. We are buying Kaga here in Kibarani. Shortly, in the next 2 months, the tendering should have been completed. That is 4,168 acres. Then Mazurui, we are starting with Musabah. Because you know Mazurui, we have 5 parcels. We have Takaungu, we have Basi, we have Tezo, we have Roka, I think. But we are starting with Sabah so that we have fair distribution.
On his part, Kilifi Governor Amason Kingi said his administration will work closely with the national government in ensuring that all residents of Kilifi County legally own land.
Since you appointed the CIS, I have seen a lot of partnership between your officers and the officers of the county government. And because of that, the tremendous achievement that has been made in Kilifi for the period that you've been there is noticeable. You know, I have been here in my first term, and there's nothing to take home really of what we achieved then.
The land ownership problem in the coastal region has been a thorny one and has perennially been used by politicians as a tool to drive their political agenda. In the run-up to the 2017 general elections, where both Kingi and Mungaro were running for the governorship of the county, the two leaders pledged to help address the land issue if they ascend to power. Kingi would triumph over Mungaro, with the latter getting appointed as a chief administrative secretary in President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration. Caroline Kamau reporting for Channel 1 News.
And human rights activists in Kisii County have raised concern over what they say is increased attacks targeting women leaders. The leaders say it is unfortunate that women appear to have become soft targets in a wider scheme to push them out of the political arena.
This incident involving Mlango Kubwa Ward Representative Patricia Mutheu and a police officer at the Nairobi County Assembly appears to have brought about anger and irritation among human rights activists from Kisii County. Human rights activist Hawa Ali saying there appears to be a deliberate attempt to intimidate women.
We can't even say the way we are hurt and broken as women of Kisii County, because if these things keep happening, how will our children be? If our rights are being stepped on, who will speak for us?
Hawa at the same time condemning an incident at the Kisii County Assembly where nominated women MCAs were thrown out of the House on 25th of June after asking for development allowances similar to those offered to their male counterparts.
It's not okay for anyone to insult anyone, even if you are in the highest office. You don't have any right. In this country, we have a constitution that must be followed and respected.
Walter Mound and Karen Magara saying the rights of women leaders must be protected.
And we want to say that the leaders who are actually in charge of this implementation should not imagine that the women who are in these positions are there just to be seen. They are there to represent the issues and the interests of women back in the villages and back at home.
If the county assembly, wale wenye walikosa the last time, wangechukuliwa hatua ipelekwe paka ifike mwisho, hii vitu tunaona leo hazingekuwa zina happen. Mahali ambapo wanawake wanaheshimika, kuna kuanga na heshima katika hiyo society. Ukipata mahali mwanamke hajaheshimika, hata wale watoto wenye wana grow in that family, usually they don't have their...
Magara, who was thrown out of the house for 3 months, said she was ready to pay the price for demanding for women's rights.
I want to state that if this is the price that I have to pay as a person, I am willing to take it all the way, so long as those that come after us will not go through what we have gone through.
Yusuf Farah, Channel 1 News.
Now time for some sports news that excites some and some do not seem too happy with it. This is a game that was played last night at the Wembley Stadium. Coach Michael Arteta thinks winning the FA Cup could be just the right start for Arsenal after describing it as one of the greatest moments of his career. The Gunners beat Chelsea 2-1 in the FA Cup final at the empty Wembley Stadium last night, thanks to 2 goals from captain Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Arteta, who replaced Unai Emery in December, is the first person to both captain and manage Arsenal to victory in an FA Cup final.
Arsenal talisman Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang worked his Wembley magic once again as they came from behind to beat Chelsea and win the FA Cup for a record.
America. Christian Pulisic gives Chelsea the lead at Wembley in the FA Cup final. Arsenal got away with some hesitations in the early minutes of the semi, but they didn't get away with this one. 2 in the semi-final, 2 in the final. It's Arsenal 2, Chelsea 1.
Arteta's delight at the final whistle was obvious as he...
But number 14 steps forward to confirm Arsenal winners for the 14th time in this heads-up cup final, lifting up the FA Cup will be A for Arsenal, A for Arteta, A for Aubameyang. It's Arsenal's day at Wembley.
All right, and on that sporty note, we come to the end of KBC Lunchtime News. Thank you so much for creating time for us. Congratulations to Team Arsenal and Chelsea. Najua hata hamjasikia vibaya. We live to fight another day. Have a lovely afternoon and enjoy the rest of your viewing.